I am Marian Foster, 67 years old. Kendra called that afternoon and insisted I come for dinner. Her voice sounded bright, almost rehearsed. But I told myself not to read too much into it. I had spent most of my life trying to keep peace with her, even when her tone was sharp or her mood unpredictable. So I went, carrying a small box of cookies I baked that morning, hoping the evening would be gentle. The moment I stepped inside her dining room, something in the air shifted. Kendra greeted me with a smile so wide it looked painted on. Her questions came quickly. Too quickly. Mom, did you remember to take your pills today? You've been tired lately, haven't you? And have you been resting enough? I worry when you try to do too much alone. Her voice was sweet, but the words pressed on me like fingers testing a bruise. Lena sat across the table, shoulders tense. She barely touched her food. When our eyes met, her expression flickered fear, hesitation. Something held tightly behind her calm face. As Kendra went to refill a bowl on the counter, Lena leaned slightly toward me. Her lips moved without a sound. Stay silent. Hidden camera. My breath caught in my throat. I kept my hands steady on my lap, nodding slowly as if she had merely asked me to pass the salt. I forced myself to smile at Kendra when she returned and set the bowl down with too much enthusiasm. I looked around carefully. The new diffuser on the shelf pointed directly at me. A tiny black lens glimmered inside the vent, just enough to confirm it was recording. The picture frame above the doorway hung lower than usual. My heartbeat thudded as I realized I no longer knew what was safe in this house. Then a faint knock sounded from the front door. Just one, soft but deliberate. Kendra froze for half a second before brushing it off with a laugh, but Lena's hand tightened around her fork. The night was shifting into something I was no longer prepared for. Kendra handed me a plate she had arranged with almost theatrical care. Here, Mom. I made the softer vegetables for you. I know chewing has been harder lately. I chew just fine, I said quietly. She laughed. Too sharp to be affectionate. You said last week your jaw felt tired. Remember, I had said no such thing. The way she tilted her head, waiting for me to correct myself, made my stomach tighten. Lena's fork scraped her plate. She kept her eyes down, jaw rigid. Kendra sat again, folding her napkin with perfect precision. Mom, when you drove here, you did take the right exit. Yes, I worry you'll get lost one of these days. I've navigated these streets for decades. Kendra, I said, I have lived in Tacoma most of my life. I said, that does not mean much at your age. She replied lightly. Reaching for her glass, people forget the simplest things. The words floated like bait between us. I shifted in my chair and glanced around the room without moving my head too much. That diffuser was still angled directly at me, its small black dot catching the light. The outlet beneath it was crooked, just enough to look recently handled. When Kendra reached across the table to touch my hand, Lena flinched. Mom, Kendra said softly, have you noticed feeling confused? Just little things. It is normal for someone in their late 60s. I feel fine, I answered. Her smile did not falter. You always insist nothing is wrong. It is part of the pattern. Pattern. My voice came out thinner than I wanted. Kendra nodded, far too eagerly. Yes. Losing track of conversations, forgetting plans, getting defensive when someone brings it up. Her eyes gleamed as if she had rehearsed every line. Lena dropped her napkin and bent to pick it up, giving me one brief, desperate glance from under the table. Do not react. Kendra continued talking while I stared at the diffuser, feeling heat crawl up my neck. This dinner was not a meal. It was a stage, and I was being pushed into a role I had never agreed to play. When Kendra stepped out to answer a call, Lena rose from her chair so abruptly it startled me. "Let me warm the tea," she said. Already taking my cup, her voice trembled. "Come with me for a moment." I followed her into the kitchen. The moment the door swung shut, Lena set the kettle down with shaking hands. "Marion," she whispered, "I cannot keep pretending everything is fine." "What are you talking about?" My voice stayed low, steady only because hers was not. "She put cameras in the house," Lena said. "Here, in your home, everywhere she can." My breath faltered. "Kendra did that." Lena nodded. "She is trying to document anything she can twist into a sign of memory loss. She said if she collected enough little moments, she could convince a court you are declining." I gripped the edge of the counter. Why would she want to do that? Lena closed her eyes. "To get access to your house early, and your savings. She said it would make things easier if she could manage everything before you slipped." Her words, not mine. A cold wave moved through me. "You should have told me sooner." "I was scared," she said. "She frightens me when she gets angry." I tried to talk her out of it, but she said you were stubborn, and she needed to push the narrative. She kept telling me it was for your own good. I stared at her. "And you believed her?" "No," Lena whispered. "That is why I warned you. I could not watch her do this anymore. She is my wife, but she is not the person I thought she was. I am sorry it took me so long." Her words cracked something inside me, not anger first, but grief. My daughter had built a story about me, and somewhere along the way, she started believing it herself. I drove home in silence, gripping the wheel harder than I meant to. The streetlights along Stevens Street flickered through the windshield, and each one made my pulse jump. By the time I reached my porch, my hands were trembling. Inside, the house felt wrong. Not messy, not disturbed, just wrong. The air held a stillness that did not belong to a place lived in for decades. I locked the door behind me and stood for a moment, listening. Nothing. Not even the old pipes settling. I made myself walk through each room, slowly, methodically. In the living room, I paused by my reading chair. I had spent more than 20 years in that exact corner, marking seasons by the books stacked beside it. The lamp next to the chair was angled differently than I remembered. Just a few inches, but I never moved that lamp. I brought it closer, ran my fingers inside the fabric shade. There it was. A tiny metallic bead, barely noticeable unless you knew where to look. A pinhole hidden in the lamp frame, glowing faintly blue when the switch was flipped. I stared at it until my throat tightened. Lena had told the truth. Kendra had not just imagined recording me, she had carried it out. Here, in the one place that still belonged to me, someone had walked into my home, not once by accident, not for something harmless. They had taken their time, adjusting, testing, planting, watching. I unplugged the lamp with shaking hands and set it on the floor. My chest hurt in a deep, quiet way, like something old had cracked open. I checked the windows, the back door, every latch and lock. Everything seemed untouched, but knowing how vulnerable I had been made it worse. This house had always been my refuge. Tonight, it felt like a room full of open eyes. I sat on the edge of my bed with the unplugged lamp beside me, its wire coiled like something poisonous. My hands would not stop shaking. The house was quiet, but my mind was loud, pulling me back through years I had tried not to revisit. Kendra had never liked uncertainty. Even as a child, she needed everything arranged her way. When she was 8, she cried for an hour because the teacher changed her seat without warning. When she was 13, she reorganized my kitchen drawers while I was at work and insisted it was the right way now. Control made her feel safe. Losing it made her crumble. After her divorce 3 years ago, that part of her grew sharper. She moved through conversations like someone gathering leverage, little jabs, small tests. "Mom, "You should not live alone forever," she said once, stirring her coffee with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "I like my space," I replied. "That is what people say until something happens." She told me it would be easier if I could take over decisions when the time comes. She started asking about my will next, not directly, but in circles. "Do you even have a will written, yes? Do I get a say in the house I mean? Eventually, it is my home," I said. She nodded too quickly, as if noting it down only for future leverage. When I mentioned wanting to update the beneficiary list on my retirement account, she made a face. "You are being dramatic." "Mom, let me handle it when it matters. You always overthink things." There was never a fight. Never an explosion, just a steady pressure. The same way a river reshapes stone. Little comments, little reminders that I was aging, that she would step in when needed, that decisions should shift toward her. And somehow, tonight, staring at that hidden camera, all of it aligned. The soft questions at dinner, the forced concern, the hints about my memory, the sudden warmth she had shown me earlier that day, a long trail of small warnings I had ignored stretched behind me. This betrayal did not come out of nowhere. It had been walking toward me for years, patient and determined, wearing my daughter's face. The next morning, Lena showed up at my door before I had even finished my tea. She looked exhausted, her hair pulled back hastily, her hands clenched around a small toolkit. "I could not sleep," she said. "We need to get the rest of them out." We moved through my house together, room by room. Lena checked vents, picture frames, outlets places I would never have thought to touch. She found 2 more devices, one tucked behind a bookshelf, another inside a hollow decorative bowl in the hallway. Each time she set one aside, her shoulders stiffened. "She told me these were for your safety," Lena muttered. "But she monitored every second you were alone." In the afternoon, Lena drove me to an attorney's office near downtown Tacoma. The woman who met us inside was calm, middle-aged, and spoke with the steady confidence of someone who had seen far darker family disputes. "My name is Diane Harrell," she said. "I handle elder manipulation and privacy violations. Tell me everything." I did. Every detail, every word Kendra had said at dinner, every strange shift in my home, every device Lena found. Diane took notes quickly. "This is serious. Hidden surveillance across multiple locations, paired with verbal pressure, it fits a pattern." She tapped her pen lightly. "We need evidence compiled clearly. Photos, timestamps, logs of unusual behavior. With that, we can intervene before she has the chance to twist anything legally." Lena opened her phone. "I saved the location of every device." "Good," Diane said. "But for this evidence to be legally strong, we cannot confront her yet. We need one controlled moment where her intent and actions are indisputably clear." I swallowed. "What kind of moment?" "Invite her again," Diane said. "A quiet dinner. Let her speak freely. We will handle the rest." The thought of sitting across from my daughter again made my stomach knot. But I nodded. My heart felt heavier than it had in years. Yet my mind had never been sharper. Chapter 7, the second dinner. I spent the whole day preparing the meal, keeping my movements slow and deliberate. Diane had told me to recreate the setting exactly. Same dishes, same seats, same gentle tone in my voice. A stage she already believed belonged to her. Kendra arrived just after 6. Lena followed behind her. Quiet. Eyes darting toward me with the smallest nod. "You cooked?" Kendra asked, her voice bright with suspicion. "Mom, that is ambitious. I thought we could put the tension behind us." I said. "Start over." Kendra's smile widened. "Of course. Mom, you always get emotional and misunderstand things. I know you do not mean to. We sat down. The table looked identical to the night she tried to corner me, the same bowls, same glasses, the same diffuser placed on the shelf. I had angled it toward myself on purpose. Kendra's eyes flicked to it immediately, like she was checking it. Lena took her seat slowly. Her hands were clasped under the table. She avoided Kendra's stare. I served the soup. Kendra watched each motion with unsettling interest. Mom, she said suddenly, did you forget the salt? You always forget the salt. I stirred my spoon gently. It tastes fine to me. She leaned forward. You said that last time too. Remember. But you did not remember. That is the point. Her tone shifted. She was sliding into the script she had practiced. You have been mixing things up a lot. Losing track of conversations. Getting confused about dates. I breathed evenly. I feel all right tonight. That is part of it, she said. You get defensive. That is the pattern. Mom, everyone sees it. Even Lena sees it. Lena's fingers tightened. Kendra, stop. Kendra shot her a warning look. I am just telling her the truth. She should not be living alone. Something could happen. I lifted my spoon again. Calm. Steady. Why are you so certain something will happen to me? Kendra blinked. Thrown for a moment, then recovered. Because it already has. You have been slipping. Mom, you forgot my birthday dinner last month. No, I said quietly. You were the one who canceled it. She froze. For one split second. Her mask cracked. Before she could recover, Lena shifted her foot, tapping it twice our signal. The attorney and the officers were outside. Kendra reached across the table, lowering her voice to a deliberate whisper. Mom, you need help. You are not stable. If you keep denying it, they will make decisions for you, and I will have to protect what is best for you. Her hand hovered over mine. I kept my gaze steady, my voice soft. You seem very prepared to take charge of my life. Kendra exhaled sharply, a tremor of triumph glinting in her eyes. Someone has to. You are not capable anymore, and soon, everyone will see that. She had no idea the people who would see the truth were already at the door. Kendra leaned closer, voice sharp enough to cut. You cannot keep pretending everything is fine, she said. People talk. Mom, they see how forgetful you are. They see how you twist things. You are not safe on your own anymore. I laid my spoon down carefully. Kendra, I remember exactly what happened last week. You canceled dinner. That is not what happened, she shot back. You are imagining conversations again. Under the table. Lena's leg brushed mine gently. Kendra, she whispered. Please stop. Kendra scoffed. You always defend her. You have no idea how bad it has gotten. She is slipping. Someone has to step in before she hurts herself or someone else. Her voice rose just like before. She wanted a scene. This is why I recorded everything. Because she lies. A violent knock cracked through the room. The dishes rattled. Kendra flinched, then forced a smile. Mom, did you invite someone? I stayed silent. The knock came again. Louder. Lena's voice trembled. I will get it. She opened the door to Diane and two uniformed officers behind her. Kendra stood abruptly. What is happening? Why are the police here? Diane raised a packet of documents. Search warrant. We have evidence of unauthorized surveillance installed without consent inside this home. Kendra paled. What lies did she tell you? She is confused. She needs a doctor, not police. One officer motioned to her chair. Ma'am, please remain seated. I will not sit down, she snapped, frantic. She does not know what she is doing. Lena's voice cracked. They know everything. Kendra, I told them. Kendra stared at her, stunned. You betrayed me. You left me no choice. The officers began searching. One reached for the diffuser. "Do not touch that," Kendra lunged. The officer opened the casing, revealing the tiny pinhole lens. "This is concealed recording equipment." "You do not understand," Kendra screamed. "I had to do something. I am losing everything, the house, the savings she barely uses, the life I should have had. She owes me for all the years I wasted." Her confession spilled out uncontrollably. She will forget everything anyway. I was protecting what is mine. She cannot manage her life. "I had to prove it, Kendra," I whispered. "You broke into my home." She froze for a heartbeat. She looked like the child I once carried, confused, frightened, furious. Then the moment was gone. The officers pulled her arms behind her back. "Ma'am, you are being detained for obstruction and tampering with evidence." As they guided her toward the hallway, she twisted back at me. "This is your fault," she hissed. "You made me do this. I could not move." Something inside me splintered quietly. Lena stepped closer. "I am so sorry. I never wanted it to end like this." My hand trembled on the table. Relief and heartbreak pressed into one another until I could no longer tell them apart. The truth was finally in the light, along with the painful realization that my daughter had been willing to sacrifice me for control. Diane approached softly. "Marian, it is over." Not everything was over, but for the first time, I was not standing alone. The restraining order was approved within 2 days. Diane called to tell me, her voice steady, almost gentle. "You are protected now. Marian, the investigation will move forward." Lena came by that evening with groceries and a shaking apology. "I should have spoken sooner. I should have stopped her." I put my hand over hers. "You tried in the ways you could." That matters. In the weeks that followed, I forced myself back into the world piece by piece: morning walks with a senior hiking group, quiet afternoons at the Tacoma Library, a support circle for women rebuilding their lives after family fractures. Each space reminded me I was not alone, even if my family had broken in places I never imagined. Kendra did not call. She could not. And even if she could, I was not ready. Forgiveness takes time. I told Lena one afternoon as we set the table. But safety comes first. She nodded, eyes soft. That night, she stayed for dinner. Just the two of us. No hidden cameras. No rehearsed lines. No fear sitting between the plates. For the first time in months, my home felt like mine again. If you want to hear the next chapter of stories like this, remember to like and subscribe. It truly helps me keep sharing them.